Good morning, folks. Vlog number 2 for the week. There's going to be a third one, which I'm going to do off the back of a couple of really good pieces I've seen on LinkedIn. One specifically from Nick Cuthbert from The Pie, where he's in Nepal. There's a really good piece about a very robust agent style of thinking and mindset from that country, which I think is fantastic because Nepal's a massive market and they're doing things quite different. They're learning from, I think, some of the high-risk issues that we've faced as a sector. So that's a really good piece. I'm going to touch on that later on in the week. This one really is a bit more about strategy thinking and the importance that strategy permeates through the international student journey within the institution. And therefore everyone understands what that language means and the part that they play in it. What's really important with any sort of strategy, and I've now contracted with a number of many different institutions. Some have got a really clear strategy which aligns to mission statements and pillars. Others, though, have got a global strategy and not necessarily aligned to UK as such. And it's really hard to try and extract that data I need to say, okay, what is the strategy? How are we going to get all the different areas of business to understand their part to play in it? Key thing with international strategy in the sector, because we're a different mindset to a private provider or a private company, is the ability to see when things aren't going right and turning around and starting back on the road again. And there's nothing wrong with doing that. It's called the cul-de-sac theory in business. And Seth Godin writes about it really well in a book called The Dip, the extraordinary benefits of knowing when to quit and when to stick. It's really good because it just identifies very quickly, okay, we've tried this, we've tried it again, this is what we've enhanced it, hasn't worked, come out and let's try something different. It's really important when you're looking at the challenges right now to the sector, the financial challenges to the sector, and also the potential white paper proposed that might become policy. So when you're looking at strategy, really you need some key things. You need to prioritize your markets in tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. I'd say tier 1 strategy. Tier 2 is pretty much emerging, and tier 3 is niche markets or developing areas. Number 2, they need to work on your agent management piece. That needs to be solid. You need to have really good due diligence, good robust annual reviews, a really good contract in place. Make the agent feel like they're part of that journey as well, and feedback when things aren't going right and what you expect from them. And equally, agents should feedback their problems with the institution, like your CAS are taking too long. Why can't I'll deal with my own CAS if you give it to me 6 months before the course start date. Annual training from the UKVI visa compliance area is really key. It's a different style of training from that you get from a recruitment officer, which is more about product and about the institution. This is more about market intelligence, visa refusals, how to better help the student prepare for audit and the admissions process. Look at the digital channels around recruitment as well. Different countries can talk on different platforms. The Chinese market is pretty much WeChat. Nigerian market is pretty much WhatsApp. So know your markets, know your channels, and equally know how to communicate across the sector, across your institution. Admissions and compliance integration is important as anything really is important. Not necessarily doesn't mean you have to sit in the same area, but it just means that the connection needs to be there in terms of complex cases and feedback and making decisions. What you don't want to do though is have the compliance people who've normally got a lot of the answers to some of these things to then undermine the thought process and decision-making process of admissions officers who are well trained to make decisions on CAS. But the whole thing, the two areas need to complement each other. Regional presence is really important. You build up trust from the UK when you go into other countries, when you have people actually in that country who know about the culture, they know about the education system, they know about the challenges, and it builds up trust. Also areas that you've come out of and you might have gone back in again, and now you have to then regain that. We're really interested in your education and the developing of or helping you develop your own country. Conversion of student experience is really important. We need to capture the positive stories. We need to benchmark properly. One thing that goes back to recruitment is how do we benchmark our numbers in order to project forecasts for the next year. We shouldn't really be doing it on enrollment figures. It's not an accurate figure from some high-risk recruitment countries because some of those students do not progress past week 4 and 5. My advice, as always, is to try and change the metrics of how you view progression and success and put it potentially at the end of your trimester 1, and that's your focused student that is being genuinely recruited. Other areas then is just continuing monitoring and governance, feedback, and then having loads of enhancements to constantly look at micro-credentials, look at the English language piece, and just to try and see what your market needs. That's a really fast bullet point approach. Have a read through this, stay connected, and I'll see you again for another vlog.